Do 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 do. Yo, and Tenkaichi comes out. Gonna be lit. Till then, we're gonna be making this card. As soon as that game drops, I'm disappearing. Alright. Hopefully you do. Whoa! Jeez. Chill. Alright. Next slide. Input this document. Why am I listening to Jesus? What the hell is this? Can I download this? What the hell is this? Out of the great. I deleted the whole playlist. That is not what happened to me. That's not good at all. Something. This looks like what they had. Yeah, it does. Tab manager. Sorry. Okay. 'Cause, 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 import directly. No. Document, yeah, 90 degrees. Flatten option, flatten and assembly import. Import a single part. Create a single part video. The first video is all the parts no, does not need it. Oh, okay. So, flat. Single part video. First video with all the parts oriented and positioned as they are in the imported top level assembly. This option can be checked if the imported data does not need to be modified, such as the data provided by the supplier. Claim the flatten option will create an assembly element for each assembly level in the imported file, which includes a single part video containing one of each unique part. Each part located at the part video's origin. Clear the flatten option if geometry or assembly structure modifications may be made to the imported validation or import. Count how many assembly tabs were created when importing the carousel file. Without flattening the assembly, use these numbers to self-check creation. Bro.
CAD file formats such as DWG and DXF can be used to transfer 2D drawings from one CAD system to another or for importing profiles into a sketch. You can import a 2D drawing file from the Documents page or from within an existing document by going to the Insert New Element icon in the bottom left corner and selecting Import. Notice there is no Import option dialog, and a single element tab containing the original 2D file is added to the document. Inside the element are three buttons, one to create an on-shape drawing, one to upload a newer version of the file, and one to download the file. Clicking the large button in the center of the screen will open a 2D viewing application and display the contents of the file. You can pan and zoom, take measurements, zoom to fit, and turn layers on and off to get a better view. Since this is just a viewer, the imported file is not affected in any way. If editing is required, you can use an application to edit the DXF or DWG, or create a new sketch and import the DXF or DWG into it. You can also create an on-shape drawing and edit inside there. A 2D file converted to an on-shape drawing is just lines and arcs. There is no associated 3D model, and therefore no intelligence. You can, however, edit dimension try to move any of the geometry, it becomes disconnected. An undo operation will get you back. Imported 2D profiles can be used in a sketch. This is an ideal workflow if you need to reuse your old 2D drawings to make 3D models, or you need to add something like a logo. Create a new sketch and select Insert DXF or DWG. Imported 2D files inside the document are shown in the list. Select Other Documents to choose a DXF or DWG from a different location. This is an ideal workflow if you need to reuse your old 2D drawings to make 3D models, or you need to add something like a logo. Create a new sketch and select Insert DXF or DWG. Imported 2D files inside the document are shown in the list. Select Other Documents to choose a DXF or DWG from a different location. If the list is empty, you can import directly into the document using the button at the bottom of the dialog. The file's origin is typically located in the lower left corner of a 2D drawing. Leaving this option unchecked will place the center of the drawing at the origin. The Units option will scale the drawing to the right size. However, not all drawings are created at a 1:1 scale. We'll see two ways to scale your sketch in a moment. The entire drawing, including the drawing border, is added to the sketch. Note that no dimensions or annotations are included. The first step is to delete unwanted geometry, like the drawing border and any unwanted views. Convert centerlines to sketch centerlines by selecting the line, then press the construction line icon, or Q, on your keyboard. If you don't need them, you can delete them. Finally, it is good practice to use the origin and planes for symmetry. First, select the entire sketch, then use the transform feature to move it to the origin. To do this, drag the center point of the manipulator and snap it to the center of the sketch geometry. Drag the manipulator using the plane icon to snap it onto the origin. Once positioned, press the left mouse button to complete the transform. Finally, let's make sure the sketch is the right size. From the drawing, the outer radius of the part is 12 inches. When adding the first dimension to a sketch, the sketch scales to match the value entered. Alternatively, use the transform feature to scale the sketch. Open transform, then select the sketch. Left-click drag on the triangle within the manipulator to manually scale the sketch or enter a value instead. The sketch is now dimensionally correct and can be used to create an extrude. You can import and use more views to make an accurate 3D model of your drawing with relatively little effort.
Hup, hup, hup. Ba-da-da. Nice. Alright, exporting. I'm actually curious about this. Because I need to get the shit back out of here.
Sharing and collaborating with colleagues and suppliers using Onshape is easy.
Is it though?
A simple click of the share button eliminates the need to export and email files.
Huh?
However, if you need to 3D print your Onshape designs
Yeah.
or reuse them in another CAD system, then you must export them in one of several neutral file formats depending upon the target recipient. You can export a single part, multiple parts,
Yeah.
an entire part studio,
A studio.
or an assembly or drawing in any number of different file formats.
Damn, son.
To export one or more parts, right-click the parts in the parts list and select export, or select one or more parts in the graphics area, right-click and select export.
Oh.
To export sketches, right-click on the sketch feature in the part studio and choose export as DXF DWG. To export an entire part studio, assembly, or drawing, right-click the tab at the bottom of the screen and select export. Onshape can export a variety of 2D and 3D CAD file formats. To see the latest list of supported CAD files formats and their versions, go to the Help menu in the top right corner and select Help. Scroll down until you find Importing and Exporting Files.
Help.
Click the plus icon, select Supported File Formats, then Export Formats. Here, you will see an up-to-date list of all the part,
Yeah.
assembly,
list.
and drawing
Yeah,
files
let's
formats
go.
that can be exported from Onshape.
That's all I need.
Once you select Export, the Export Options dialog appears. The first text field contains the name of the file that will be exported. By default, it will be set to either the tab name, or in the case of a single part, the tab name plus the part name. The next option is the format type.
But
For the
does
CAD-specific
not
file
do
formats,
G-code.
which are available for parts only, and the neutral file formats, there's only one further choice to make. Whether to download the file, store it in a new tab, both, email to a recipient, or store it in an integrated storage service. Downloading the file will convert your selected parts, assemblies, or drawings into your chosen format and download it to your computer. Choosing to store the file in a new tab will create a new tab in your document and store the file there. This is useful if you want to keep a copy of the exported file for further reuse, or if you want to share the exported file with another person. Sharing and collaboration will be discussed in a future video. The third option is to do both. You can email with a download link of the files by typing in an email address, add a
Luke
subject,
Skywalker.
message,
Fucking
how long the link stays active, and if a password is required to access the downloadable link.
your social security.
When the recipients receive the email, they are given the link to the file. If checked, a password is required to access the file. Once the recipient enters the password, the file begins to download.
My question is, if you already emailed it to
The
someone,
last
why do
export
they
option
need a
is to save the
password
file in an integrated storage service. This option is available when an
Sent it
integrated
directly
storage
to them
service is
and
connected.
made them have to use a password.
Notice that the previously used settings for exporting are remembered and set as your default. This is useful if you only ever export in one format, or you need to do many exports in the same format. Default options for exporting in both 2D and 3D file formats are stored with your account. The most reliable file format to use is Parasolid. This is because Onshape uses the Parasolid modeling kernel, so there is no data translation between the sending and receiving system. If the receiving system does not support Parasolid, the next best format would be STEP, or the CAD-specific file format if you know which CAD system the file will be imported into. For Parasolid, you can export to a particular version number. This is useful if the receiving system can only read older formats. Exporting in an older format may provide better compatibility with more systems due to the yearly update schedules of traditional CAD or CAM systems. Alternatively, you can check Always Use Latest, so when Onshape is updated, your default export settings will always use the latest version of Parasolid. The final option will be explained in a moment. The STL file format, commonly used for 3D printing, converts your 3D models into triangular surface meshes. Here, there are a number of options you can choose to affect the output, such as format, either text or binary, units, and resolution, which you might want to set to coarse for a first off prototype, then fine for a final print. Or for even more control, you can set it to custom. These three options affect the tessellation of non-planar surfaces. Setting these to small values will give you a better resolution on curved surfaces and small features, but will make the file size bigger and processing time longer and may not necessarily give you a better print. You may need to experiment with these settings to suit your 3D printer and to get the quality of output you need.
How fun.
The final option, which is for STL and Parasolid output only, is to export multi-part part studios or assemblies as individual files. This is perfect if you want to 3D print an assembly, but can only print each part separately. When exporting an entire part studio or an assembly, all parts and surfaces will be included whether they are hidden or not. You can prevent some parts or surfaces from being included in the export by suppressing parts in an assembly or using delete part in a part studio before exporting. For 2D drawings, you can export in DXF, DWG, DWT, or PDF, which will give you a very high quality vector output. Text within a PDF can be exported as normal or selectable. For older versions of DXF and DWG file formats, some drawing elements are not supported. Some support geometry only, so no dimensions, notes, or title blocks, and some support model space only. The later versions of this format also support paper space. You can export just the current sheet or all sheets in one file. Hide or show underlined text for dimensions that are not to scale, and whether to export text as a text object or convert it to a series of lines. Finally, in a part studio, you can also export a single sketch or a single planar face as a DXF or DWG file. Right-click a sketch from the feature list or from the graphics area, or right-click a planar solid or surface and select Export to DXF DWG. Here, you can select the type and the version of the file you want to export. The last option is to reorient faces which are not parallel to the Z direction. More details on exporting CAD files can be found in the Onshape help.
Do 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 do. Silent faces, silent faces down there. Don't tell the truth. All right. Export an assembly part drawing. Export CAD files. Alrighty. Open the document. And let me get rid of this one. Tell eyes. First, we put on some music again. Definitely a little bad. Why are they breathing like that? Let's display this from now. Alrighty. First, we'll practice exporting an assembly as a pure solid file. Right-click export on the assembly tab. No, it definitely says okay, cylinder will be supported by a vendor who uses SolidWorks. We only export just the cylinder SolidWorks part file, but this time store it as a new tab in the document. So just the cylinder. Fair enough. I don't even know what to do with that. So I just do this and drag it into some crap. Oh, it's here. Alrighty. Oh, I have to copy it to edit it. That's what I've been doing this whole time. Like, go here. I'm gonna copy this. That's not gonna change this thing. Okay, yeah. I was not paying attention. That was funny. Actually, yeah. boy. Alright, another course completed. Let's go. Completed 2. I actually know what the hell I'm doing. No, I do not. Let's go to this here. The steps out a lot better. So whatever. All I really need to understand now is how accessories work as far as referencing geometry. I don't want to go that sport. Get how to hold the drafting. So that's all I need is the assembly knowledge. And I've been here for 45 minutes, so let my brain take a break. We got. Check them out. Brah. Alright, goodbye. To the fight. A warrior from an unknown land.